Welcome back to this story making session. As we talked last time, that why does the brain make stories? One, we said it has to give meaning to every situation it interacts, otherwise it will be of no avail. Whether animals give meaning or not, or they just survive in harmony, is a big question. So, our mind creates this self referential unified self, which seems to have a will and has some intent and moves on the world, interacting, incorporating various experiences and stories into. Why does it do it? When people hear stories, when you look, you look, when you hear, but you are doing lot of things at the same time. But when you look at a story and when you look at the or trying to create your story, or if you ask me, okay, tell me about yourself, I would try to weave a good story in and around myself. I would not just tell you, okay, and that is if you write your CV and you write your profile, there is some difference into it. So, it is not a matter of fact stuff, nobody wants to take, and that is the reason why cinema and everything is so successful, because stories, what we have found out, that stories put the whole brain to work. And remember, I told you that all neurons are active, all neurons want to communicate. If the role of the gene is to create a human being or any animal or plant for that matter and multiply to survive, the role of the neurons is to connect to each other and communicate. That is the basic need of a neuron. So, all neurons are waiting to get expressed. So, when you tell a story, your whole brain gets activated. And how does it get activated? We talked of cinema or theatre or music. How does music work? Somebody has decided to sing with a certain rule of putting notes in a different order, which gives a sensation of continuity, and the person sings. Your ear catches that, all the neurons which get activated immediately, but even whether you have learnt it or not, if you pay attention to it and you are not too upset with something else and your attention camera is directed to that, you tend to follow that rhythm. How does this happen? It happens because there is something called mirror neurons in the brain. So, mirror neurons are we have broadly think it is an area called insula, which is deeply tucked inside, are the reasons why this Homo sapiens have survived other species, because they learn to communicate even without language. Language came later, but our mind, our brain knows each other very well. It may get lost in the superficialities, in your culture, in your learned knowledge, in your fights for religion and all those superficial differences. Believe me, if you are sad and even if you do not tell me, if someone is sitting next to me and they are sad, believe me, you will know, because you have sadness inside you and your mirror neurons will tell you. Even while I move my say left hand, that means that this front portion of my right brain would have got activated to send instructions for this, but the same area of brain in you also would have got activated. EEG recordings have proven this. If I am moving this, and there was this experiment which was done, that a monkey reaches for a banana, and this whole EEG recording is being transmitted over internet to far off Tokyo or somewhere else. The robot also moves it. This is the basis of what we are trying to work out as uh, brain computer interface. We will just come to it. So, this whole area of brain, mirror neuroning, actually makes man the social being, and that is the basic need. The basic need of neurons is to communicate and connect, and that need has expressed into behavior in human beings also to communicate and connect. So, the best is that all this, the brain creates these stories, all these stories are thrown out in the world through behavior, through expression of emotion, through relationships. All these stories collide, conflict, fight, create new stories, and that is the story of human being. Whatever has we have achieved has come out of the mind in the form of a story or fantasy, one mind or collective mind. The execution of it, the planning of it is all second and third part of it, and that is the push of living together. So, however human beings fight, however wars we do, they have to belong to something, and this belonging is again the baseline. So, there is a belonging to community, society, over which your self is moving into the immediate circumstances, and all has to be connected in one large big meaning. So, you look at it, there are stories of individuals which sacrifice for in story of the family the family sacrifices for the story of the community to religion to nation, nation to politics, to wars. Now, as it grows, as we are talking about the brain, the information, tidbits of information coalesces into making higher complex meaning. Same is here, tidbits, individual stories sacrificing in the larger bit of it, and that is how neurons do. One neuronal activity may be, so no neuron is free to behave in the way they want. So, one neuronal activity is sacrificed into the larger neuronal system of collective functioning. In fact, there is a Hebbian theory, all the neurons that fire together wire together. So, they may not necessarily be in one place, they may be scattered over a lot of places, but if there is a stimulus, they all have to fire together, they will be connected in some way or the other. There is a social theory also, that one person gets connected to 150 people in and around, and each neuron is connected to by intervening 2 or 3 neurons. So, there is a whole network of connections of human beings, of neurons, in the sense of giving meaning to life. So, what is it all about? Again we are back to our good old friends, cognition and emotion. So, there is a meaning, metaphor, metaphor. Brain is also specialized, but brain cannot go concrete all the time of evaluating each emotion and each dynamics and each word, and so plus all the information that the brain has to go, although it has huge capacities, but the information is also humongous. Whether it can really have categories, and like for example, if I ask you to just imagine rose, which is the commonest word used, all of you would have different imagery. Somebody would remember petals, somebody would remember black rose, somebody would look at yellow rose, somebody would remember your love story of being rejected or accepted, somebody would remember thorn, somebody would miss anything. You think all this information which you have about rose is not stored in one place, one box of rose, it cannot happen. If how many boxes you will have? So, it is something else, maybe we are not able to catch it right now, but maybe with all the memories and experience of this one trigger creates a word, a pattern of a word called ROSE, ROSE. It can create imagery, my drawing is very bad, petals, colors, thorns, emotional experiences. So, brain has to create symbols for this. Now, you say I gave a rose, what does it mean? It does not mean anything. it is a metaphor. You have heard of proverbs, that is abstract thinking. So, brain has learned to create symbols, metaphors, and it has metaphors about metaphors, and all our society, parenting, mythology, religion, everything has gone into it. So, if I hold a glass like this is not just my 50 years of memory, it is a memory of millions of years when I stood up from all the fours to bipedal and my thumb grew in opposition and then hold it like this. So, this is a memory which has come from culture or biology. I guess both, because if this was a better adaptability which started somewhere back, then obviously other things had to come which increase the function of this. This is how humanity has actually progressed. It is very interesting to look at the whole thing, but let us get back to it. So, the whole thing goes on to build your cognition and your emotion. Memory of course is at the background of it. So, it is a metaphor, story, each one of them us have a story, but in the whole process, as I talked about, that there is a story of self over which anecdotal. Is there a will and what am I? Part of me decides, okay, I am going to do this, but the moment I decide, does it go out of my control? Do my brain areas which want to respond, I say I want to pick up this glass and ask for water, okay, the need will not, that is a later thing, the need would be water. Is this my will which has asked me to ask for water, or it is the need? I am actually feeling thirsty. So, I am feeling thirsty and my brain has immediately thrown it to cognition, where it has rationalized that let me give this example of asking water to my audience. So, is it my will which just suddenly made me choose this, but why did I choose this? I could have done this and taken this. Okay, this is my will, I am putting it here and I pick it back. Is it my will to demonstrate? But I had all the options, but I said no, give me water. But give me water is maybe a need that I am feeling thirsty, who knows, I am actually. So, that is the big question which is still unresolved, and that is the crucial question which will emerge when we talk of transformation, and that is the crucial question which has not been answered, that why in spite of knowledge and everything we still remain like unstable and miserable, and all of us know in our heart, however hard we may try, that we are very rational and we do not disrupt, we are pretty disruptive animals and we have this infinite capacity to trouble others and ourselves. So, these are the, remember this question, because this is where we will talk about, and we will talk about how cognition and emotion can control each other and the unconscious. So, we have like a grid now if you want to answer this. Nevertheless, so you have cognition, you have emotion is a grid, you have conscious, you have unconscious, and this all boils down to action, behavior, feedback, and then the whole thing may go to memory. So, this is a type of thing. Where does this figure? Here, will, or this is directing will. So, science is divided. There is a group of people who think that there is a will, because if there is no will, then there is no crime either. Then nobody is responsible for anything. And there are people who believe there is no will, because anyway your conscious brain knows only what your unconscious mind is telling, and the push of the unconscious and the processing of the information anyways is so much that you cannot decide anything. The poor conscious brain just has to give meaning to whatever your unconscious mind pushes, because so it cannot go and alter the unconscious. This is the antithesis of transformation. So, and just add to it the biology and behavior, the physics of it. We have not been able to explain. We seem to live in a classical world, a world of classical physics, where cause and effect and reversibility and everything. But deeper in the mind, it does not seem to be classical, because I am sure there have been theories explaining quantum processes and nonlinear dynamics. World also has all that. So, the world may not be totally deterministic. It may be random in the and probable is in the quantum world, in the micro world, and there is a huge cosmic world which has its own deterministic rules. Between these two is we. Are we giving too much importance to ourselves? We are just on a planet called Earth, but nevertheless, even if there are other people and we do not know them, still we have to give credence to us being. So, all the great anthropomorphic theories and religious theories that the world was created for human being, or human being is a special creature, which obviously Darwin's theory threw off. We are, what actually we are doing. We again, as I said, we are giving meaning to our existence. We may know the futility of everything, but still we have to give some meaning, and that meaning is connected to change. Your situation changes, your stories change, maybe a common story. So, but whether you have a will in that or not is a big question. Whether the quantum has a will, electron has a will, or even if an electron has a will and the American president also has a will. So, we move like this from the quantum to a big classical world, and then so on and so forth. So, we are bothered about this, the man. That brings us to a very, very important juncture, which I would like to discuss it here itself, because that will determine what we are going to really talk about in the future lectures. And that is, the mind always knows that and knew that it is imperfect. The mind always knew that even if it is thinking rationally, the emotional pressure may actually destroy it. So, the latest story which has evolved after making weapons and rockets and trying to explore is creating an image for creating a double self. So, man wants to create a new story of creation. If you remember, creation, God has made us. So, we want to make something called Homo roboticus. We are Homo sapiens, we want to make a Homo roboticus. We want to make intelligent machines which are perfect. We do not want our robots to fall in love. We do not want our robots to alter their precision thought process with emotional surge. You would have seen a film called Robo, where the robots go out of control and become emotional. The question is, why do we want to make something, a machine which is more intelligent than us? Same brain, if you think the same brain which has brought us here has evolved on its own till now. We want to repeat the story of creation and create something else, but it is the brain which is pushing to create something else. Why is it? Does it want to enact God? Could be. I am just throwing off speculations. Or is it that the brain is capable of knowing its deficiencies and wants to create a perfect machine in the process find out what are the fallacies which was making me weak. So, the race is simple. So, we have brain like computers, like we said, brain mind mapping, brain prosthetics, interfaces. So, you pick up EEG waves, and somebody who has a paralysis, and if his hand is not working, we put something, some artificial contraption, pick up his EEG waves, because the brain wants to move, and transmit it to it, and it will move. These are all ambitions of brain computer interfaces work on this, because mirror neurons work. So, someday maybe I think, and that EEG wave can be transmitted to you, and you think the same thing. Maybe mobiles will go off. You can just, is it sounding like mythology? Because our mythologies, we are talking about all this, and that is the reason why some people say that okay, whatever is being done, it is already being done here. But we do not know whether the science was so advanced at that time that they could communicate with telepathy. Now, let me warn you, all this parapsychology of telepathy, intuition, we may reject it, but let us not be very arrogant about it, because we have not been able to explain all that. And my guess is that to explain all that, we will require some another amalgamation on another emergent physics, which can put things together like this. But till that time, all science is about utilitarian. So, we are helping people with disability, we are helping people with movement problems, with put a pacemaker which can keep sending pumps of neurotransmitter to move in, like in Parkinson's disease. Someday we will be able to help people who are dyslexic, who are not able to make patterns of words. Maybe we will catch their process of pattern formation and then help them. So, this is just a, but the biggest question is, the ultimate ambition lies is in making a perfect machine which is not shackled with emotions, because emotions trouble us all. Whether the brain, as I said, is the ambition of few to have a god-like feeling, or their feeling is ki in the process the same mind which is creating it will observe this process of this perfect machine going on and try to transform it. So, I think there is a race, and the race is not a race in a competitive sense, but the brain's new story is a trick, and the trick is that while it is trying to create a perfect machine which has precision, because we know our processes may be very precise, but they do not turn into precise behavior, and because they do not turn into precise behavior, because emotions come and rattle it, because we do something which is not fitting in with society or rebelling against it, or even while you follow society you tend to suppress yourself. So, all is not well in there. That imprecision the brain wants to overcome. If it sees externally a machine which the brain has created and catches that point, can it train back itself? So, mind unto yourself, this is the basis of all change and transformation. Gandhi, we will talk about Gandhi as we move on. So, the big question where I like to end this talk is which I want you to think back, and so that when we come back and is the brain trainable? That means what you think, your cognition is higher, you want to control your emotions, not allowing them to disrupt it, or you want to find a harmony between the cognition and emotion, or you want to allow emotions to whatever, decision making, delayed gratification. So, the certain areas of brain called frontal lobes and dorsolateral prefrontal cortex in fact evolve very late. around 1820, and these are the areas of the brain which are actually the controller. They inhibit lot of this impulsive emotional upsurges from the brain, and they keep the brain into a correct reality check interface with the survival adaptability. They are the central executive network. There are three networks. One is a central executive network, CEN. There is a salience network, and there is a default mode network. These are just connections of the brain. Central executive network is for planning, judgment, decision making, execution, abstraction, giving a feedback. Salience network actually works, as I said, that the information goes in, it has to be evaluated on threat and the specifics of the stimulus to compare it with memory. Default mode network is when you are actually not doing anything. If you close your eyes and sit, your brain would still be active, because a lot of stimulus are still going in. The brain will still be integrating and integrating all that information into your existence, either in memory and all. But frontal lobes and dorsolateral prefrontal cortex are the places which have to really control the animal instinct, and that is probably explains that first thing which I asked you, why do people get violent when they are psychotic? Why do people behave in a certain way when they are under the influence of alcohol? Why do they behave in the way they do not want to, or other people do not want them to? So, can the brain learn to do decision making consciously, delay the gratification which they already evolution has brought it, sublimate desire, take your desire, take which way you are going and put it into art form and all, develop the prefrontal cortex to tame limbic system. We know all this meditation, yoga, discipline, lot of other things. So, we will wrap up with this, and I would what we will do next, I will leave you at this question and I want you to think, so that in next lecture we will pick up. So, we know what the brain does. So, what behavior becomes normal and what becomes abnormal? How do you really judge it, what is normal and abnormal? So, we will have a look at this, and then we will take an example of addiction. That is one of the big things which people, which still has no treatment, and people want not only medication, but lot of other things to go, and sometimes it is a moral issue, sometimes it is a medical issue, there is a lot of ambiguity about it. So, we will take that as a case study, and then following that we will talk about some live models of transformation, whether it can happen. So, the basic question remains, as I said, is this the end question, is the brain trainable? So, we will pick it up from there next time, or rather maybe after the next lecture. The next lecture we will stick to and see what. So, everybody thinks they are normal, and some people we call them abnormal. So, how has society actually created this setup of calling people abnormal and abnormal, and whom do we call, whom do we ask to change, and whom do we treat? Where do we expect that people should be consciously doing this, taking their morality and all? These issues are important, because ultimately when you think about it towards the end, then these issues go on in our mind, whether it is abnormal, you need treatment, or you need some moral transformation. So, I will end it here, and then we will catch up in the next lecture, picking up on these issues. Thank you.